Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Colin Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, more monthly tournament action today. We are on Orsha East. Who do we have, sir?
On left hand side, in the blue, we have Comrade Glogi playing Panzer Division with a balanced income. Right hand side, in red, we have ATKPWR Gaming playing 26 Guards Infantry with a V for Victory income.
V for Victory income, otherwise known as the income that no one ever looks at anymore.
Oh.
Which actually has... Yeah, which I was going to say, actually has me kind of curious about this. It feels like someone was trying to play Juggernaut, except not Juggernaut.
That's like pay the bill somewhere.
True. That's true. Now we're going to see 75 mil face up against a 45 mil. Both these guys basically just kind of saying, okay, we're ready for a wet noodle contest. And then the Lati says, no, these are my kills. So it just starts 86ing everyone out of this.
Yeah.
But you gotta love the Pansari division, because this is the true Panzer division. There's more tanks in this division, I feel like, than 2 or 3 German divisions by themselves.
Yeah, they have a lot of tanks. Just don't look at the quality of them. But they are. It's a metal box with a machine gun and a cannon. It's good enough.
That counts, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that works. don't pay attention to the man behind going brrrr. We got like spokes in the wheels. Blenheim Bomber coming into the northern side, looking to take out that 76-2, which is good because up to the northern side, there's also a bunch of Chernos being very, very aggressive, which is embarrassing to see.
But just the sheer rate of numbers here should probably be enough to deal with that machine gun team. And he is going to probably make it to that farm set, as that 1 pack 40 won't be enough to hold that entire front by himself. And the center's actually, both sides went pretty hot. But no one's really made any plays. It's actually a pretty even, like, right down the middle in the center.
Well, down south actually would have been some mortar play from the Finns, but unfortunately for them, those lovely little 50 mil knee mortars getting taken out actually by the Latis. This is so bananas.
The anti-tank rifle showing that they're also anti-infantry.
Yeah, very, very strange. Now, they're going to be engaged by Chernos, and watch them take out the Chernos. But no, okay, never mind. And never mind. Finns, in the meantime, going to be dropping some smoke and dropping some fire, first at the guards, and then trying to cover the retreat of their troops. Kind of unfortunate, but hey. They made it out, that's the important thing.
Yeah, both sides really just, inflicting a lot of casualties on one another, but not really gaining whole lot of territory. I've seen ATKPWR follow up the center with a KV and a ZSU M15 and some more infantry. It definitely feels like he's just going for more of the, just get the spam dudes out, the Chernos, this basic dudes, and then just bring up the fire support to back him up. So it's just going to be very important for him to keep out fire support alive.
Not to be outdone though, Comrade Glogi is like, ah yes, you spam infantry, I spam tanks. And all the T-20 whatevers that nobody cares about are now being brought into the central position, which is kind of funny because as the heavier equipment kind of goes from east to west here, they actually could kill it by hitting it in the flank.
Yeah, he really does not want to be engaged in that KV-1 out in the open. He needs to keep on moving and just try to get a close range flank about here. It is quite dangerous. He does have at least a reconnaissance armored car of him, so he's not completely blind. But it's KV-1. I forgot the name of the bloody KV-1 that's held at Bridge in Barbarossa, but he might have that moment too.
No, that's the hero of the Soviet Union, comrade. And all of those guys were immortalized by being cremated inside that tank.
To bring your own crematorium.
I think it's actually kind of nice. It's better than the Zinky stuff that happened in Afghanistan, 60 years later, 40 years later. And the KV-1s now, they are, for some reason, still aggressing over the open territory, and one by one are being sent back home in their own private pyre, let's call it.
Yeah, armored post did not go right out for Glogi. Like, once again, the Finns, especially for that cheap tank spam, can't be engaging against, I'd say proper tanks, but the KV-1 is a little bit outdated by its time period. But really, any sorts of tanks, you need to be using them where the enemy doesn't have tanks.
That's true. That's true. ATKPWR Gaming gets up 13-11. I think a consequence of that is really just some of the northern push of the Chernos just kind of win by default, which is among the kind of scarier ways to kind of win something. It's like, oh yes, he's my friend by default. But the Jakari's kind of pushing back. SG-43, I'm going to kind of shove him a little bit for the moment. But I dare say, this is the beginning of the end for the Chernos on the northern side.
Yeah, he does have that fire support out and operational. I do like he has the Gladiator flying around, providing those eyes in the air. And also the ISU-152, definitely quite a bit of a powerhouse here. He just needs to bring up some more infantry, a little bit more fire support, and he should be able to deal with this north, because like you said, there's really not a whole lot here apart from Chernos.
No, there is not. Kind of amusing. There is actually one T-26 that survived the journey. And he's going to die. Don't get me wrong. But for the moment, little plucky guy is going to try to engage a guard squad. You little rascal, you. And what had been an attack of cavalry tanks has now kind of turned into like that charge by the Mongolians back in the Eastern Front. Like, it's not pretty.
No, not at all. And really, Glogi's position up, or not up north, but in the center is not looking great. He's taken a lot of casualties here, and attack power is definitely traded effectively. He has much more dudes on the field, and now it's really his time to shine and try to make a push happen in the center.
Or down south. I mean, down south there are those 50mm mortars. There's even that Sotka 76 there. But I feel like you could get away with nothing else consolidating your hold on that one flag.
Yeah, just holding the forest. I mean, the tanks can't really go in there. It's going to be a bit too dangerous here. Attack power's in a very good position all over to just try to make something offensive happen. And he might as well do that now, while he's still in A phase, because come B phase, he's just going to have to hold until relieved.
But relief will come. And that's without any kind of medical intervention. That means C phase he's going to be competitive easily to Glogi's kind of income. And I would argue in C phase he would get a hefty number of guards, so why the heck not?
He just needs to get a decent little lead and decent geographical position, especially down south. If he can just hold that forest once again, open field, killing field, blah blah blah, easy to defend with low income. But he just can't clear it out because he just does not have, you know, the pure troop quality yet. I mean, those Lati dudes are coming in, they have those satchel charges and just proven to be a bit of a havoc.
They are a bit of a hassle here, but I feel like I'm surprised that they have lasted this long. I really, really am. You see him right about now, the Cherno's like, haha, they're pinned down. Now's the time to strike. And fearlessly they charge into the fray. In JU-87, there's no anti-air in the field, is there? Absolutely not.
Oh, it's a ZSU.
Oh, no, you're right. Okay. Yeah, JU-87 may not make it out of here alive then. Certainly possible, but not likely. I think he might get the bombs off, but that's about it. He's stressing. He's missing. And soon I dare say he'll probably be missing in action. Oh, come on. The ZSU, I really thought me deadlier than this.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very unlucky hit the cluster bomb. Yeah, the KV-1 really dead to rights, but you know, sometimes RNGs just gets you, you know?
That may very well be the case. Blenheim dropped bombs, but I don't know where. He's not been on the field this entire time, has he? No.
No.
Could have possibly. And a 150 is going to start to kind of engage what he used to think was an anti-air position, but unfortunately that right there, well, you know, that whole hefty driving out of the way thing, just it's a devilish tactic.
Yeah, it's really quite innovative these days, you know, avoiding enemy fire by not being there.
The art of not getting hit.
Yeah. Next we'll teach you about the art of not being seen.
Oh, I wanted to bring Monty Python into it, but you beat me to the punch on that one. Now, meantime, Blenheim's coming right back through the center. He's going to go and hit the, let's say, the bottom part of this head, the neck, if we were, you know, the opposite orientation of this map. And the Strafniki and the Shandos that are right there, that's going to be a bit of a problem, but nothing too crazy. He might pressure, and that would be about enough. No, he actually goes and pops a wart on the far side of the neck. Doesn't even hit the Russian positions.
Yeah, I'm flying directly over the anti-air. The Yak-9 pretty much got him dead to rights, and yeah, 1930s bomber is going to be no more.
And about 1,000 meters away from where the Ju-87 died, the Blenheim meets the same fate.
Yeah.
Now, northern side, we are going to see T-28 and one of the armored cars start to engage the 76-2 Bousier. And this is, oddly enough, probably the fairest fight that those light tanks are going to get, and still he loses. As the softball rounds kind of come in and slowly pick him off one by one.
Those rounds really fired out fast in real life. I swear you could just reverse faster. Like, you just move a little bit to the left and it would miss you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like someone's firing an arrow at you from 300 meters away. Like, oh yeah, okay. I'm just going to calmly just make a shield out of this woven fabric first.
You see just a Nerf gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Decidedly more deadly, but you know what? Let's leave that for discussion for our next video. 45 mil and the KV-1 are going to go and engage on Sturmy. Sturmy does kill the KV-1, proving that Sturms do in fact have some accuracy. But I wouldn't be surprised if the 45 mil is able to finally kill him by scratching the paint enough times. Then again, I've been wrong before.
Oh, it's going to come down to the ZIS 3.
That is shocking indeed. And the 50 mil dropping rounds on him, yes, he's just going to try to panic him a bit. Fantastic.
Almost was enough, yeah. But once again, like, Glogi, he's got a decent few picks in the center, but he doesn't really have anything to follow us up. And that's mainly infantry. Because attack power, if he wants to deal with that Sturmy first, he could pretty easily start moving up his troops and get a bit deeper into our town.
But it's okay. In the south, he's being very, very deep with that ZIS 3. And the Lati, the last Lati goes down. Or Lahita Junta. And the southern side is completely now a Soviet playground.
He's gonna pick up a few free flags there because there's literally nothing to stop him. So he's getting a very nice +2 point advantage, which is working really well for him considering he's the V for victory income. This is more than optimal for this current phase of the match.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reminder over here, folks. So the V for victory is, okay, you better pray that something comes into happening to pull your, little shorts out of the fire there. Others can have some hot pants. And attack power says, you know what, I don't need to wait. I got this, and just starts leveling up right now.
Yeah, and it's a very good reason you don't see V for victory much anymore. And that's just because everyone plays Maverick, and Maverick is the hard counter to V for victory, that B phase income. And honestly, most of these matches are really decided within that B phase time frame.
This is true. This is true, but if you're playing against Panzer Division, I feel like that is probably one of the few times you can get away with it otherwise.
Also, 26 as well, the KV-1s are really cost-effective against the Panzer Division honor, because they don't have a whole lot of heavy tanks or a whole lot of heavy AT you have to deal with here. So, just being able to rely on that cheaper stuff to hold up against a horde of even cheaper stuff is working well for him.
We are seeing the Finn, I would say boy to Nimrod, but I don't really feel like, name calling here. Kind of chasing away that Yak-9, but the Yak-9 almost kind of sizing up that Blenheim. Ooh, ISU-152 does go take out T-34 E to the northern side. Undergunned, outfought, and, gets brewed up like a pot of coffee.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty vital here for Glogi to get at least one flag, preferably up north. He needs to stop his +2 bleed more than anything, because it's just going to make him harder for him to get back once you get into C phase. And even in C phase, it's not like he's going to be at an advantage. It's pretty much even in the points.
Well, and he's going to get it. I think just because attack power has to be really, really deep with a lot of his forces. Now, the ZIS 3 is going to be able to go and engage a good chunk of the comic material coming into the southern side. Gotta get, just a smidge closer. But as these Kaivari get moved on in, these guys are going to actually taking a very, very conservative breakout, which I appreciate. But one of these guys, I think, should probably get taken out. Is he not in range?
Oh, I think the ZIS 3 only...
He should be. There's no range on there.
1.5?
1.5? Yeah, I mean, shouldn't... I'm missing this?
Oh.
Wow, he's just
Oh,
barely out of range.
barely. Gonna tiny window to shoot, but no, just that line of sight is gonna screw him over, so the Kavaris can take up defensive positions.
Now, the 150 on map over here is going to go and get engaged and get half its squad obliterated in about 3 seconds as a 76-2 ZIS is in the back. The pure artillery variety of this. They're going to engage him very, very effectively. Well done there, guys. And northern side over here, the IC-152, going to try to maybe force back some more of these Chernos. But again, it starts to become a numbers game, which is weird, because the Finns, again, their infantry is just so good. I'm not sure where the heck they went so wrong. Was it maybe that tank rush across the open territory in the center?
Yeah, it's really just a lack of fire support which is screwing over the infantry right now. And ATKPWR has all his forces kind of consolidated. It's like he's big blobs, while Glogi's, spreading out his troops a bit more. And he is making some good progress, especially in like the center north position. But he's not, getting these effective trades and dealing with like these Soviet fortresses of just dudes.
Just dudes vibing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask any questions. A couple of cars being moved on in. I think the artillery is going to go down. Okay, no. All right. I thought maybe we were going to see that last shell come on in just to obliterate the rest of the team. But 'tis not to be. Okay. T-26, reinforcement column from the northern side. Sotka 76 coming in here as well. Chikari is being kind of moved down up. And we're seeing even that 50 mil mortar is trying to throw down some smoke, which I find plucky and a very, very unique way of going after this. In fact, honestly, this might be the best use of mortar tube play we've seen all week.
Yeah, especially like 50 mil mortars. You really don't see them being used a whole lot anymore, which is quite a shame because they can be very deadly. Not just full of high explosive, but you've seen the smoke play here has been pretty top tier. The Strafniki's getting stressed out, and the Yakaris, if they can just push on through, they should be able to clear up the rest of this well. We'll see what the Sturmoviki has in store for them.
True. By the way, down south, T-34E comes on in and takes out the BT-42 that was coming on as well. Or was it maybe the M42? Maybe the 45 mil picked him off. But regardless, we are going to see down south that kind of attempt to retake that position is, well, completely dead here. And the Chikari, in the meantime, back in that town where they're being pushed back and probably forced to surrender with that. Yep, there we go.
Yeah. Sturmoviki's holding the line, because what's, better than one flamethrower than two?
Well, it's just a question of how much you really love barbecue. And there's one thing that I know the Russians like, it's barbecue. That and snow.
Because it goes hand in hand, barbecue and the snow. It's really just like, a fun Russian winter.
I think that's what they do in October, right? It's the October Revolution. They go and they start barbecuing.
I mean, it's red for a reason.
Exactly. It's red meat.
Yeah. You're onto something.
I'd like to think so. They celebrate the coming of the battleship Potemkin and everything. that is a super nerdy joke, and I don't know if that'll land. But ZIS, in the meantime, taking on this T-26 northern side and says, you know what? I got this, and just obliterates that entire northern column. In fact, I think he might even be taking out the Soka 76. Well, he's already bailed out, so he's going to take him out eventually. But that is hard to watch.
Damn. Yeah, it really does feel like ATKPWR has just done a much better job consolidating his forces. I mean, just looking at how the front line's set up, I mean, there's like 3 very obvious, just big blobs of Soviet troops, which have just been very well amassed. And Glogi, just looking at his front line, it's very scattered now. Like, he has not been able to trade efficiently, and it's going to be hard for him to catch up point-wise.
I think the term I was going to use was sparse, but I think that what you were saying over here has a lot of value. And unfortunately, I think the other thing about this is that while trading is always the end result is that you want to be bartering the forces of your troops that much more effectively, I feel there was almost too much of an effort being utilized here on that kind of light vehicle play, which you can get away with if you have infantry walking point. And just we didn't for a whole lot of this.
Yeah, like, I mean, you have the God Vision and all of that, but if you did that light vehicle play up north, It probably would have ran a little bit better, and it also plays off better once you make the initial breakthrough, because you can kind of just use all these forests and weird little locations as, you know, good staging points and ambush points for those T-26s and T-28s.
Agreed. Agreed. BF-109 might be able to pull a kill before it gets stressed out. Of course, the Yak might just get on his tail. He's actually totally getting on his tail, and the Elu's going to get out just in time. And this piece of me that's wondering, V for victory, I'm wondering if we can start kind of flashing that here. Because I don't know how the Finns are going to stop this. We have a big reinforcement column coming here in the central position. 150 being dropped in the back. 5 squads of infantry being rushed on forwards. I feel like this is that dice throw that we're always talking about. When you're like, things are turning against us. How can I pull this back?
No, 100%. Like, pretty much, I think Glogi just needs to break through one of these Soviet fortresses and then just try to heavily exploit it. He does have some pretty damn good infantry. He just needs to blow up a few tanks, and in the center of our God Vision, we can see not a whole lot of armor left here from ATKPWR. So if these Yakari push on through, they should be able to do a decent job finishing off a lot of the infantry. Because once again, a lot of it's just, you know, mixed in with Chernos and a few Strafnikis here and there.
This is very true. I'm sorry, I was watching the Kavaris getting forced down back into cover. As the 45 mil is trying to get vague sight lines on. I'm sure he's trying to get sight lines on. I don't think he can see it. Oh no, he can't see the Silka. Oh no, but he's not going to shoot at him. He's going to shoot at the Kaivari instead. Interesting.
Vodka's doing a lot of shooting here, and ZIS is going to return back in kind. And at close range, he should do a decent enough job.
He should. He should. I say he did. If he doesn't die to this shot, though, I think the Silka's going to have it. And there he goes.
Machine guns coming top. And the Ikaris are here, and loaded probably a little bit more defensively, but I get it. You don't want to completely risk it. But he needs to get that blob of Ikari into the front line. And those Shumois need to start blapping some Soviets. Otherwise, he doesn't have time. He only has 2 minutes.
He certainly does. I'm sorry, I was watching the IC-152 try to engage the ZIS-3 on the hill, northern side here as well. Again, a dozen tiny little fights that seem epic in the scale that they have, and don't seem to always be the most important kind of bit, really, overall. Comrade Glogi down south, Jakari's being sent over the open, not what I was hoping to really kind of see in the BT-42. Well, the BT-42 is not going to be able to kind of turn this around by himself.
No. I do like a little Kavari flanko. He can get into the forest and knock out the 50 mil and some of these other support units. I'd say it might pay off, but the Akari's getting forced back now, and the Sturmovikis are relocating. Yeah, it's just going to be a failure of a flank.
Well, and we're seeing the last rush they give the Yakaris, as the Kaivaris kind of, you know, watch from the wings, providing some light fire support. And while the Yakaris will be able to be aggressive, they won't take ground quick enough.
Nope. They're going to get forced back rather quickly, and we're already seeing a huge heap of reinforcements specifically just for the southern side, and that's really going to shut down any more maneuvers yet. Very,
very true. Now, I know we have about 50 seconds over here, I think, as the match kind of gets itself to a close. You know how I feel about Chernos. I will say the Chernos probably did the best they've done in a while by just kind of walking along that northern position, but I think that was kind of helped out by Glogi's, I think, overcommitment over here in the center.
Yeah, he didn't really have like apart from that at the start, the initial little tank blob he had, he didn't really have like a huge force of Yakaris or some sort of big counterattack to really punish the use of heavy Cherno play, right? Because those Yakaris are like some of the best infantry in my mind in the game, point to point, and he never really got to use them effectively. And even with the Finnish Panzer Division, you know, your Finland, it still comes down to the Yakari and infantry spam.
Yeah. Which is kind of a shame, because the Sturmies are always so kind of, like, they're really, really fire support vehicles. So just think that as the Finns, you depend on them so much as being kind of your frontline tanks, and you can't do that. Not in the long term. But you see what they're GG, well done over here to ATKPWR Gaming. Glogi kind of gets, you know, not destroyed, but definitely takes a fair few kills on this one.
Yep. And looking at the kills here, 45
mil, yeah.
That 45 mils all over doing decent. ZIS 3 as well. It really came down to the anti-tank guns.
But I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that the ZIS-3 for sure is a deadly, deadly anti-tank gun, especially versus anything that was before, what, 1943 or so,
Yes.
which is every Finn. I'm sorry?
Yeah, and losses is nothing
The-
really apart from the ISU.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When the Soviet killing machine is the worst, is a boy to Soviet machine, things are kind of dire.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, though, sir?
No.
Well, folks, in that case, then, until next time, I'm Conalwork.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.